Well, hello, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby Sleep Coaching, and I am so excited to be interviewing Dr. Abby of Grassroots Family Collective. And I'm doing all of these interviews with these amazing women-owned business owners this month because of my affiliation with WO3, which is a grassroots effort to partner, promote, and support female-owned businesses. And I've just been so excited to just meet these incredible women. And Dr. Abby is one of them, who is actually in Battlefield, Michigan, Battle Creek, not
Yeah.
Battlefield, Battle Creek, Michigan.
Yeah.
But she has this really amazing membership for all the families. So tell me more about your Grassroots Collective.
Absolutely, Joanna. Thank you so much. So I'm a chiropractor and we focus on whole family. And as you mentioned, we have a membership-based office, which is super unique, but it really serves our community really, really well. And I'll tell you why. We take care of lots of mamas, pregnant moms, babies, kids, and whole families. So it was always important to me, and I say to my team, to show up with authenticity and congruency. I use chiropractic in my life and it's helped me so much especially during times of when I was pregnant or had small children or wanted to take care of my whole family. So we were kind of like, okay, we're going to go rogue and do this completely differently. That felt really authentic to us, where we could show up to people and have them actually take chiropractic and have it be a part of their lifestyle. So we came up with the Grassroots Family Chiropractic, and it's morphed into Grassroots Collective. So I'll tell you more about that when we get there, which is exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So Dr. Abby is really taking a whole new approach to kind of what we call kind of continuum of care, right? So, whether you're pregnant or you have a baby now, like think back to that time when you were even trying to conceive and then being able to have support all the way through. And that's kind of what Dr. Abby and her collective are trying to support for families in the Michigan area. So tell us a little bit more about how that came to be and what you guys are doing and what your members are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always say, even with chiropractic, I'm like, chiropractic chose me. And when I started the collective or started Grassroots Chiropractic, it was a similar experience in the fact that there wasn't quite an office or a setup that felt like it fit who I was and how I lived my life and the things that had helped me in my life. So when we started, it was just myself, and started seeing lots of moms and lots of the baby, lots of families, and not just in the sense of like, oh, we have a colicky baby. Like, what about dad? What about mom? What about siblings? So enabling that whole family to feel and heal and be their best versions of themselves possible. So that grew and grew and grew, in the sense that we started to say, like, okay, it's not just about pregnancy, it's about let's have the healthiest, best person preconceptively going into families, going into that pregnancy, so that we can have the healthiest pregnancy, the healthiest birth, the healthiest baby, and really mitigate our moms having issues down the line, right?
Yes.
So what that means with the collective, it's been one of those things where it has come out of passion and purpose. So we've added on, and it's grown because of needs of not only our team, but also our members. So now we offer nutrition. So we have what are called NTPs, so nutritional therapy practitioners. So we are trying to get to the root cause of, when your body's giving you symptoms, it's just telling us that there's underlying problems, right? It needs help with handling some amount of stress or handling something. And instead of covering up symptoms, we want to figure out why it's doing that and help actually heal the body moving forward. We also are getting ready to add on nutritional lab testing. So we'll be able to do hormones and preconceptive panels. We'll be able to do metabolic rates, vitamin D, just all these little things that help, not because there are symptoms or a problem, sometimes there might be, but also like there's a big, vast difference between survival and thriving. And that's what we really want people to, know, right? So we
Right.
have a massage therapy, we have an infrared sauna. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to support healthy families.
Okay, so you guys, so just I want you to think about this, right? Imagine if you're in your own town, you had a place to come where, from whether you're trying to conceive or you're pregnant, or you have a newborn 0 to 6 months, or you have a child that's older, plus your partner, that all of you are being cared for within this umbrella of the collective with Dr. Abby, her other 2 or 3 colleagues, with the massage therapist, with the nutritionalist, with the blood panel work, with the infrared massage, with all of this, where you can come in and be supported all the way through, like she said, without the purpose of it is to mitigate any challenges down the line. And I think that that's so important, because we were talking earlier in preparing for this about how getting chiropractic during pregnancy is so important, because it does support the birth. And then you were talking about right after the birth, how we can improve the nursing relationship with chiropractic care. So can you kind of take me a little bit through that concept of why this continuum of care helps literally eliminate problems down the line, that if you get this all the way through, you're not going to run into the problem down the line. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
point.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, oh, you said that so beautifully, and I love it. It makes me emotional because our people are everything, and supporting moms through this is everything to us. And I feel like sometimes you feel like a crazy person for like wanting to do it differently or wanting to do it intuitively, or I chose to have a home birth, or these different things. And you have these questions.
Yes.
And instead of, addressing like ADD of a 5-year-old, or lactation, or autoimmune, or, long-term ear infections, we want to go not only like, what did that baby go through, but like, what was that birth like? Well, what was that pregnancy like? Well, now we're taking, so the other thing we're getting ready to add on this year is preconceptive nutrition, and coming off of birth control, and helping people that are going, okay, I want to prepare for a pregnancy. How do I do that the best way possible? So a lot of people, what they don't realize, and I didn't know this about chiropractic, is old school was kind of like, oh yeah, my back hurts, I'm going to go in and get it popped and cracked and whatever, we're good. That's honestly, that has nothing really to do with chiropractic. It's all about the nervous system.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yeah. So like, why would a baby get adjusted? A lot of people are like, I had no idea this was even a thing. But if you've ever heard of like cranial sacral therapy or some of these tonal techniques, and then we start to show someone an actual adjustment on an infant, if you were to close your eyes and you were to push on your eyeball,
Yeah.
that's about the amount of pressure that you're using to adjust a baby, right?
Yeah,
So
it's like another chiropractor, a pediatric chiropractor told me, is like, when you go to the farmer's market and there's the most beautiful tomato and you just want to touch it just tiny bit, so you don't
yeah,
bruise it. It's like that. Like, that's how delicate it is. Yeah.
absolutely. But you're foundationally helping that little baby come earthside and better acclimate to its environment, right? On a functional, function following form. So we check like cranials, their head, how everything's moving, how their jaw's moving, full spine. So you have to, or one of the cool things when someone said this to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that totally changes perspective. But thinking about how much mom went through that birthing process, that baby's on the other end of that, right? Like they're working hard as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, we love the concept of being able to support our mamas and dads and siblings and whole families from before they've decided to get pregnant through a pregnancy. And again, the better we have mom functioning and healthy, it's the same
Right.
concept. It's like a mom, yeah, mentally, right? Mentally, physically, and you keep her as healthy as possible, keep her body moving and able to do what it's supposed to do. We have a higher likelihood of baby developing, in a better environment, right? Less stress,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
better development. We have a higher likelihood of baby getting in a really good position, setting mom up empowered. She's also been seeing us and getting empowered through this pregnancy, not fear, not all the crazy stuff, but actually supported, empowered. Baby's in a really good position. We're more likely to have a better birthing experience for mom and baby. which directly influence outcomes of latching and bonding and mental health afterwards. And I was kind of telling you, Joanna, when we were speaking before, is that whole concept of we kind of fall off after mom has baby. We kind of go, okay, let's do a 4 week, you'll have you, everything's good. See you later. We actually are able in this structure of this culture, this community of Grassroots Collective, our moms are with us. We're checking in weekly or multiple
Yes.
times a month, or if there are issues, we're seeing them, right?
You're seeing them.
We're
Yep.
seeing them, and we're checking baby, we're checking mom, and we're there for them. And it's a game changer. You talk about outcome members, or outcome, initiatives. And I really don't think, I think we're pigeonholing when we just look objectively at like numbers. It's not black and white, right? Like, oh, baby made it through. Oh, whatever, they're surviving. Okay, that's a big difference than actually optimally functioning, right? Or thriving. So,
Right. And also, like, to your point, what you just said is like the traditional postpartum care is you give birth, you leave the hospital 2 or 3 days later. Maybe in that first week or two, you might see your doctor, maybe not. And then you see him at like 4 weeks, and then maybe 6 weeks, and then maybe 8 weeks. And then now your employer wants you back to work. Okay.
oh, yeah.
That doesn't seem like a lot of time, but when you're a newborn mom,
Mm.
2 days feels like 20 years, and it's overwhelming. It's lonely. You have a ton of questions, and maybe you're lucky and you have a lot of girlfriends or family members that are really supportive to you, but sometimes you need that neutral zone where you have like a collective of caregivers that have known you through your whole pregnancy, that know you and understand you, and now have helped you carry a beautiful child into the world. And now you have a lot more questions, and now you're surrounded by other women that are like continuing to support you. So it's so needed, and it's such a beautiful concept. And I'm so grateful that you are doing what you're doing for your families and your community. I can't even imagine how much those moms are lucky. Let's just put it that way. Those moms that are with you guys
Equally lucky.
are really lucky. And I know you guys are lucky because then you have all these beautiful relationships with
We
all
have
of
the best members, and it's such a joy base. Then you start to like look at the business aspect of it, and it's such a joy based place to be serving out of, right? On both ends, like them receiving and us, and them giving.
and meeting their needs. Yeah, like the
Absolutely.
nutrition came out of the members saying, I want more. Help me with
Yeah.
this. Right.
Yeah.
I low on vitamin D. Okay, fine. We'll figure that out right now. Right. It's instead of like, okay, now I have to get a referral to my pediatrician, and then I have to go, right. All those steps that are getting harder inside the traditional healthcare system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So, I know you told me that another one of your passions, not only working hands-on with clients and building your collective and supporting people live, that another mission of yours is all about like education, just in general, like why is chiropractic important? So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I feel like that's been the next level of it. It's almost like the hardships that you go through are sometimes the way that you're being asked to show up in the world. And, like, and maybe for me, putting some purpose to the pain is helpful and healing. So there's parts of that you just wish you would have known. And then we walk into our office, and we see things, and we see kids getting better and kids not having to go through, again, like we talked about, like so many ear infections or so many antibiotics or these things that set them up for issues down the line. And there's so many times that I'll see an adult and I'm like, oh, like this didn't happen this past year. Like this happened the past 20 years,
Right.
So I feel like educating, it's twofold. One, I wish I would have known so much. And then once I learned, Maya Angelou, that quote is all over my office and my home. You do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, you do better. It's like the more I learn that we can do, the more it feels like, okay, this was really hard and I felt alone in this, or my intuition was saying XYZ, but it was almost more of a fear-based, not feeling like I could show up that way in the world.
Mhm.
So telling people like, hey, no, we can. Hey, you're not alone. And there are
Mhm.
options. And so many moms will be like, I had no idea that I could get adjusted while I was pregnant. I had no idea babies could get adjusted. I had no idea that I could mitigate, you know, type 2 diabetes nutritionally or whatever it is that they're like, I had no idea. You're like, oh my gosh, we have to do better at giving people the idea, like letting them know that this is, they don't have to receive it. They can, they don't, but they at least need to
It's
know that it's an
each
option.
no, exactly, exactly.
And
And
I
I
truly believe that it's how we show up for the next generation too, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. The more we know how to support ourselves for healthy living, and then we emulate it by receiving that care ourselves, then we're showing our children that this is the way to take care of yourself. Right. So it is definitely a way pay it forward into generations. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. That's amazing.
And
Okay. So
you don't
yes.
mind. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I'm like, I could
Yeah.
talk all day. You're gonna
Yes,
finish
I
me up.
know. It's true.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a whole nother level coming up with that of like physical, chemical, emotional health as well. So when
Mhm.
you get adjusted, it brings down things like cortisol, helps regulate your nervous system, your sympathetic or parasympathetic, right? So we're in a world and we're in territory we've never been in with cell
Mhm.
phones and computers and go, go, go. And their brains are just doing this like all the
Yes.
time. So
Yes.
being able to add another tool, like I feel like this is another big thing coming up is getting adjusted, just like meditation, just like a healthy meal, just like exercising, pulls you back into your body, pulls you
Mhm.
back into parasympathetics. And it's allowing these kids to actually, for once, be told, hey, your body knows what to do. Hey, center in this moment because you're going to be grounded and this is your home, and validation or external things are never going to create joy, purpose, and happiness. Like it's here. So mental health is another huge thing that it's allowing a foundation for support and healing, which I think carries over to these next generations as well. So
Absolutely. And again, like community helps with mental health, right? So, so what's been so hard with during COVID is pregnant moms have been isolated during pregnancy, then they go to have their baby. And those first 6 months, for sure, they tend to stay super isolated just because of, especially, I mean, all during COVID, fear of COVID, obviously for
right.
themselves or for their child. But now in this past year, RSV everywhere, no matter what, I work with families all over the country. I mean, RSV is on everyone's doorstep. And so this leads to further isolation. And again, the mental health component of isolation is such a massive
Yes.
concern, right? It's a concern for the parents, postpartum mental health, but it's also a huge concern for children. I mean, I literally have clients who have 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds, because again, these COVID babies who have yet to have a play date at their house.
Mm.
um, and that's just straight up logistics. How do I keep my baby or my child the safest? Like, I'm not going to have like 10 kids at my house for a play date, or no one would ever have that many
Right.
two kids in
Right.
your house, but you know what I mean. So,
Absolutely.
I just love the fact that you're emphasizing community, not only for them to be able to get whole body health, but you're also considering the mental health component of establishing a community where moms feel safe to come, moms bring their children with them, and moms get to meet other moms.
Absolutely.
Parents get to meet other parents. So that's amazing. Um, so yeah, so you guys, so she's doing incredible things. So we're at the end here, I'm going to tell you guys how to follow her so that you can keep up to date and everything. But what I love to do as part of this conversation is because again, the whole point of WO3 is partnering, promoting, and supporting female-owned businesses. So I asked Dr. Abby, like, are there any other female-owned businesses that you just love and admire? And she was like, I know exactly who I want to talk about. So tell us our two people and what they do and why you love them.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first is one of my best friends, Jennifer Edner, and she owns Modern Day Collective. So she started out as a floral shop and has grown. She does wedding events, is getting ready to open up a second day or a second location, all sorts of, she's just like absolutely beautiful person inside out and out. And you will not regret following Greencrest Manor. So that's here in Battle Creek. And you literally, Joanna, you feel like you are in you feel like you're over in England and you're like, I'm in the United States still. Like this is insanity. So it's an absolutely beautiful property and such an expander on her Instagram and everything as well. And then the second is Out of Line Vintage. So she's also a amazing small business, woman owned here in Battle Creek, and she has an awesome Instagram. So she takes clothing and vintage clothing, and she'll actually like upcycle it and create different pieces. Yeah, clothing pieces.
Oh, wow. So she gets, okay. So then so it's almost like she'll find a jacket and she's like, the fabric's great, but the fit is kind of like dowdy. And then she'll like rework it to then have it be like something new and fresh.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And also takes that whole aspect of like our environmental impact and all of that, and really highlights that of what are we looking at as like what is important to us, right? Like being authentic in what we're purchasing, where we're spending our money and our energy and support. And her work is absolutely beautiful. So I think you guys will super enjoy that as well.
Yeah, so I will put all that down in the show notes so you can follow those two people on Instagram. Okay, so Dr. Abby, so WO3 Day, the official day is this Saturday, March 25th. And, obviously the whole month of March, I just want people to start like thinking of all the different ways they can partner, promote, and support a female-owned business. But the culmination being, you got to at least do one thing on the 25th. What's the one or two things you definitely know you're going to do to partner, promote, and support a female-owned business on May 25th or March 25th?
Wow. I love this so much because I think there's such a continuum of the ways that we can support, not only like from anything from like praying or sending positive energy to our women owned, to getting on and tagging them or resharing their business or writing a review, right? Those simple things you can suggest them or refer, like something you're like, oh my gosh, I know that this woman would love this. I know I will also probably be I will be visiting some of my favorite shops. So there's Plumeria here in Battle Creek, which is a friend of mine, woman owned. I have a lot of women owned friends.
That's good. Right? That's people. Good.
Yeah. Bread and Basket downtown. So go grab a coffee and grab a candle and just do some things of putting that inertia and that energy into the world of supporting our fellow women and celebrating, like just like what WO3 is doing, right? Celebrating them and just
celebrating.
Girl, you got this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Really.
Because there are, you guys, I mean, we, if you follow WO3 Connect, that's what it is on Instagram, WO3 Connect. If you start looking at and reading the bios of the women that have been nominated to be highlighted this year in 2023, it is astounding. I mean, I'm like, I want to interview every single one of these women. They're doing incredible things. All right. So Dr. Abby, if people want to find you, how do they find you? Especially if they're in your town, and hopefully this will get people will know about, who don't know about you will know about you. But if people want to like follow your Instagram or see what you're up to and just want to know more about you, where can they find you?
So our handle is Grassroots Family Chiropractic. So pretty straightforward. And we like to make lots of funny reels so you won't be disappointed in following us. We also have a website, Grassroots Family Wellness, and everything's linked cross handle. We have Facebook too, Grassroots Family Chiropractic. So everything's cross linked as well. And then if they are, in California or wherever across the United States, there's a website called ICPA, and that's Pediatric Chiropractic. It's who I have, it's called a CACCP. So it's just the doctors that post graduation of chiropractic have gone on to do even more training specific to babies and to mamas, and making sure that they are up to learning as much as they can, right? Serving people the best way, because a lot of people don't know, but a pediatric chiropractor is going to check things like the cranial bones, the TMJ, the latch, a lot of different things that are primitive reflexes, all these things that you're like, a chiropractor does that, So they'll be well-trained, well-versed in all of that, and you'll know that you're in really good hands. So Grassroots Family Chiropractic for us, and ICPA will really help people find awesome chiropractors in their area.
Thank you so much. That's a great resource, and I'll put that in the show notes too. Anyways, Dr. Abby, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing things, and I hope that you can just like keep growing and growing, and then maybe you'll end up in California. That would be amazing.
Right? I would love
Yes.
that too.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.